Hi, I'm Dom Hind, and fuck, I'm nearly 50. Actually, I'm 47 and 3 months, but who's counting? When I first had the idea for this podcast, the very first person I went to was today's guest, and I can still hear his voice. There are so many podcasts out there, Dom. What's your hook? Why are you going to be any different? That was Nigel Marsh, and of course, he was right. I first met Nigel many, many moons ago when he was at Leo Burnett and working with Justin. He tried to recruit me to head up the digital team, and he's always been someone who sees the bigger picture and pushes you to think braver and be bolder. Since then, Nigel's done a million incredible things. He's the host of Five of My Life, a brilliant podcast where guests share the 5 items, their books, films, places, music, and their possession that defines them. He's written 3 books that are part memoir, part mirror, hilarious, honest, and deeply human. And I still remember Justin laughing. And then there's the Sydney Skinnies. Yes, Nigel is the man who helped get that infamous Sydney nudie swim up and running, which tells you a lot about his ability to make ideas happen, no matter how wild they seem. In many ways, Nigel inspired the structure of this podcast, giving it a purpose and a finish line. The countdown to 50 is a concept I owe to him. He also has one of the best laughs you'll ever hear, and I'm hoping we get to hear it a lot today. Because while he's usually the one asking the questions, today it's his turn to be in the hot seat, which will make him very uncomfortable. So let's get into it, because fuck, I'm nearly 50, and isn't it amazing? Most people know Nigel Marsh for his books, his legendary TED Talk on work-life balance, or his wildly successful podcast, Five of My Life. But what I love about Nigel is how much he's transformed over the years, not just in his career, but in the way he thinks about life, meaning, and what it actually makes us happy. Today, we're talking about it all: reinvention, identity, where we get stuck in the wrong things, and what it actually takes to create a life that feels good and not just looks good. Nigel, as the first man, welcome to Fuck, I'm Nearly 50.
Thank you.
Before we dive in, I do want to ask you, how would you describe yourself in the most Nigel way possible?
Well, I can answer that because the global TED people asked me to send them a introduction to put on my TED Talk. And I sent, the answer I sent them is what I would use to answer your question, which was Nigel Marsh came second to last in the 2005 Bondi to Bronte ocean swim.
So you have spent years exploring what really makes life meaningful. Mm-hmm. What was your, oh shit, I need to change something moment?
So I would change the description slightly of what's meaningful for me.
Okay.
And that's going to be maybe a theme
Yes.
in this conversation, because I think the world is full of self-appointed experts crapping on with platitudinous, repetitious rubbish, giving generic advice.
Yep.
Basically abusing vulnerable people who are looking for magic answers. And I don't want to be one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
So I have got some things that I've worked on that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that they work for other people. I wouldn't say they work for women. I wouldn't,
they work for you.
So
they
full
you.
disclosure, I'm not, because there are some people who they make a living, so
Yes.
they have to say I've got all the answers,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Yeah.
So that's.
But I think that is fascinating in itself as well, because we do sometimes forget that we are in control of our own life,
Mm-hmm.
and that we do look for all those external validation points to make sure that we feel like things are meaningful.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to hear what you think was the moment of change for you in your life?
Right. Well, so I know exactly. So there's a falsehood in my better known book, Fat 40 and Fired,
Yes.
Midlife Crisis, is that Nigel changed his life on a dime when he lost his job, which is true to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But what isn't true is that up until then, I was an unthinking advertising executive who just wanted a Porsche, and then I lost my job and I suddenly became a shepherd, right? I studied theology. I've
Yes.
always been thinking the thoughts that I've had, but I've never had the courage or the circumstances to act upon it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it isn't, oh gosh, there's none so virtuous as a reformed whore. I had you go, no. I've always been thinking, I don't like this life. I look at everyone who's more senior than me in my profession, and they're all lovely. We're all God's children. And I go, I don't want any of your lives.
Yeah.
I don't want any of your jobs or any of your lives. So why am I doing this? I'm working hard to go up the ladder, and I am going up the ladder, and I have no interest in the ladder, right? But I have children,
Yeah.
and
You need to pay.
I haven't got
for
any
the-
money, so this it just happens to be what I do. So, oh my God, this is really confusing, and I'm living a life of sort of, I'm conflicted because it would be irresponsible to say to my wife, sweetheart, I'm just going to sit at home and not go and run the ad agency, because you go, well, do please, because who's going to pay the bills? So if you lose your job, or for me,
Yes.
if you lose your job at the age of 40, which I did, perfect timing. Because I'm on a plane coming back from New York, having been told, my life is all over, having relocated my family around the world to Australia. And I read this brilliant quote: pause for a moment, you wretched weaklings, and take stock of your miserable existence. All right. And you go, well, yes, if I'm not going to do it now, yeah.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time with people. Oh, I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to give up drink, whatever. And you meet them 5 years, or my boyfriend or my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Then you meet them again, and you're still having the same conversation, which is fine. Change is difficult. And you go, right, well, this is my moment. So it's not the thing that made me think, but it's the thing that made me think, this is my opportunity.
Yeah.
Because if I take, I could have got another job. If I take the other job in the same life, I'm doing the same thing. But this is the perfect. It's a bit like if you're going to have kids, no one says, well, why are you away from the desk for 2 weeks? You go, I'm having a kid, right? But you go, why am I not going to work? Well, I've lost my job.
Yep.
Right?
So I've
now,
got time.
You might not take a year off and, not look for work. But so that was the moment.
Yeah.
I lost my job. I'd been sent to Australia to run an ad agency, and the ad agency was merged and closed, and I was made redundant.
Your TED Talk
Yes.
on work-life balance, which you mentioned, blew up globally. Did you ever expect it to resonate the way it did?
So honest answer, yes, but that's not. If you asked, did I expect it to blow up globally? No.
Mm-hmm.
But you asked, did I expect it to resonate?
Yeah.
Yes, because I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I was speaking truth.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah.
And it did. And in the room, I knew it went down well, because why wouldn't it? Because,
And the whole thing about work-life balance, I think, it is so interesting.
can I jump in?
Yeah, go on.
Because I hate the phrase.
Yep, so do I.
I hate the phrase. It's about constructing a life of meaning, balance. It suggests that work is bad, pleasure is good. It suggests that you've got to have an equal amount. It's all bullshit. It should be about reflection and constructing a life that you find meaningful.
Yeah. For me, the thing about work-life balance, it annoys me, because I'm very much, and when we had our last company, one of the things was about balance. But balance for me was about passion.
Right.
And making sure that your passion levels were actually aligned. Because if you loved what you were doing, it didn't seem so hard. But if you didn't like what you were doing, it was really bloody tough. And so we were very focused on that balance being, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, go. And we will support you in going. Yeah. And I think that for me...
But can I say, here we go, I'm going to challenge you. Right?
Yep.
And you're allowed to in your firm, because it's a firm, it's not a government department.
No.
Right? But what you actually want is non-balanced people, in terms of you want them to really prioritise being very, very, very enthusiastic and passionate about your firm.
Yep.
And I, with the greatest respect, couldn't give two fucks about your firm. I'd rather, shoot myself in the face than work at your firm.
Yep. Yeah.
So I shouldn't, therefore, work at your
No,
firm.
you
Right.
definitely shouldn't.
Yeah, that's right. So what I see some people doing, which is, it's awful. They talk about have a holiday or do yoga because you'll then come back refreshed.
Yeah. Yes.
Hold on. So the holiday point
Is to come back.
is work.
Yeah.
Right. So for people to, and it's difficult once you're trying to make a living, you've got to do what
Yes,
you say.
you do.
But,
Yes.
But once you get to a certain level of success, if you have, and a certain age, you are allowed to say, I'm not passionate about With Collective or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And With Collective, by the way, all full disclosure, is brilliant, right? But I'm not passionate about it. I'm very thrilled that those people are, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's bad. I'm not oppositional. Just that
Yes.
I'm not passionate about it,
Yep.
right? And you go, great. They're allowed to say, well, we'd like, moronic, ambitious 27-year-olds that are,
Yes.
and we don't want 61-year-old people who aren't. And you go, the world can go on and be happy, right? But it's sort of faux balance. It's personal responsibility. You go, when I left my last big with Air Bunny's corporate job, I said to the people in New York, you need someone who is interested in this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
Yeah.
And I know someone who is,
Yeah.
and he'll take over.
Yeah.
So we can make that.
Yeah, but it is because that comes back to the passion thing. If the passion's not there, you just don't do it.
But here we go. It's easier.
Unless you do need to make sure that you do put food on the table, or you are providing for your family.
Yeah, and that's the whole context of this conversation is. If you've got to attend to the realities of life.
Yeah, that's
if
it.
you've got to do that, then you have the different conversation. How
Totally
can I
different.
put table? Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is something I see people talking about being passionate at business, and these are people who've been very successful and run firms. You go, but mate, you fly to work in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Of course you're passionate because you and Justin own the bloody firm, right? I'll dipshit over here.
I don't find it working out. Thank you.
No. But you know what I mean? People that you go, oh, I run Amazon. I think the thing Amazon is have, do great work, have fun. You go, not if you're on the factory packing boxes, you don't. You do, Jeff, with your fifth wife and your plane.
Yeah.
Right? So there's just too much bullshit out there.
Yeah. There is. Do you think with all this bullshit and the work-life balance or imbalance, do you think we're actually getting any better at how we work?
No, I don't think we are. For reasons that I mentioned before, is people have hijacked the issue. Like who's the woman? Ariana Huffington, spare me. There's a third pillar. It's not just about money and success. Oh, shoot me now. I mean, you've just discovered that, having made yourself a multimillionaire, right? And you're going to... So the people who shouldn't be talking about it in a way that's disingenuous, right?
Yeah.
So certain jobs and careers are just incompatible with having what I would call balance.
Yeah.
This is incompatible. If you want to work for BlackRock Investments or whatever,
You're not gonna
they've got
advance.
every right to want you to work 19 hours a day and go. So if that isn't what you want, don't do it.
Yeah.
But just pretend they drank the Kool-Aid. They go, oh, but BlackRock, we have sleep pods, we have dress down Fridays, we have whatever. And
Stop
so
Fridays
people
for half an hour.
talk about it and get paid and write books. And I apologise for doing a TED speech, but I try to do that authentically, and which may be why it's been seen by so many people, where you go, I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Yeah.
Right. Is there are people who it's time management tricks.
Yeah.
So there are the very, very, very worst people to be talking about it. I went to talk in America to some horse vets, bizarrely.
Yes.
It's like Dodge, the AAEP, American Association of Equine Practitioners. And they've got suicide rate 4 times the national average.
Yes.
And there was 5,500 there in San Antonio. And I stood up and I'm going, if you've hired me to give you tips and tricks to make your life easier, I will refund my fee because I'm not going to give you any. I have no interest in making you more efficient. Because if I could make you more efficient and do your job 2 hours quicker a day, what would you do?
Do more.
2 hours more.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? Don't do your emails while sitting on the loo, or text your boss while having sex. Don't do any of that. There's no point, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm here for a real conversation, which is like this conversation. I hope
Yeah.
is any of this making any sense?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. I just love you being the one being questioned.
I hate it. And I don't want anyone to take my advice. I just don't want them to take bad advice.
You know what? I think the thing from all of it is it's just making sure that you are happy with you. Like, that's it. And you know what you actually want. Like, and not worrying about the other stuff.
Yes. But sometimes you might need help in doing that.
You do.
Just doing that.
Yeah.
I said, there's something I read, which I thought was just brilliant. There's three things. It's progress over perfection, consistency over intensity, fundamentals over fads.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, that's not a bad place to, or in terms of being happy, you go, something to do, someone to love, something to look forward to.
Yes.
So simple stuff where Somerset Maugham said the important core life lessons are too important to be new.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And so what we're all after is, is it yoga? Is it 1 minute manager, 4-hour work day, love language? We're all, after the latest person. Is it Huberman? Is it Rogan? To come out, pull something out of their backside that's the answer that humanity hasn't thought of for the last 2,000 years. That's the answer to make you happy. And it's probably not that. Life's hard. Life's got challenges. Can you... actually, maybe Granny was right. Yeah. Be nice to your partner.
Be kind. Be kind, smile, say hello.
That's right.
Yep, it is. It's all of the old day wisdoms. And that was the quote, the happiness, what was it? Someone to love.
Someone to love, something to do, something to look forward to.
Yes.
Which, it's not a bad... That's not a bad credo to live by. Another one, when you get to our age, and I'm 20 years older than you, but when you is a passionate dedication to short-term goals. You go, hold on, we're going to passion, a purpose, a vision. You go, no. You go, what's in front of you now? Well, I'm doing this, for example. I'll do it to the very, very best of my ability.
Yep.
Full stop. Genuinely, authentically, I'll do it to the best of my ability. Full stop. No one might watch, or it might blow up and be fantastic. But I'll just do it for the best of my ability.
Yes.
And you go, do you know what? That might actually make you happy, and that might make it the best podcast that it is, as opposed to, I've got to do it to be seen, to win, or to monetize it. And so if you, Mandela said, you haven't got to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You go, if you're lucky enough to be in the situation that you are in, and I would imagine many of your audience is in, right? So this is not the people who are struggling to pay their mortgage, right? You go, you got to a certain stage, you're a partner in the law firm, but you don't really like it, and and you go, well, so how about you choose something? It's almost like a reinvention. Yeah. Do you know the Japanese phrase "kanreki"?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. You go, what a privilege! What a privilege to get to 50. You go, right. I'm going to now. I've done all those things. I'm now going to. Do you know what? I'm going to, whatever it is, set up cafe, do a podcast, whatever it is. But I'm going to do it really, really well. Yeah. I'm not going to expect a round of applause or anyone to be interested. See where that goes.
But see, and this is I think that was your advice to me when we first sat down.
And look where it's got you. Bloody nowhere.
I said to you, I want to do a podcast. You're like, why? There's so many of them out there. Why? What are yours? Why are you going to be different? And then you said, what are you doing it for? Fame? To be an influencer? Money? And I was like, no, I actually just want to give airspace to the conversations that I'm having with my friends.
But also, I suspect, which is perfectly fine, you want to learn.
Oh, you know what? And that's it. So Lydia's advice, or her thing, Lydia was my previous guest. So she said the thing that I should try and do before I'm 50 is become a beginner. Okay. And so this is my becoming a beginner. So doing a podcast is my becoming a beginner, because I have never done it before.
So who is Lydia?
Oh, she's one of my good friends. So she is an astrologer. She background in finance, astrologer, and executive coach. Mm-hmm. And her view is about how she can use astrology, but also to make sure that it is from a coaching perspective, bring it to life.
So leaving the astrology aside.
Yes.
I like the sound of it. Yeah. It is the thing about a beginner. What I really like that is one of the things. If people ask, and I know their circumstances, and so it's not advice, but I just say it's what I do, and you might like to try it, is to liberate yourself. It's absolutely brilliant, right? From being good,
Yes.
right?
That's it.
Or winning,
Yes.
right? Or anyone caring,
Yeah.
right? So that there's things that I do. No one watches this, do they? Don't
Yeah.
tell anyone. Right? There's things that I do. Don't tell anyone, right? Where I'm teaching myself to draw.
Yes.
I'm useless at it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I'm teaching myself to play chess.
Yep.
I'm useless at it,
Yep.
right? I've got all these things, and I get so much. But you wouldn't know unless I'm on a podcast and you ask.
Yeah.
Right? You get so much pleasure from it.
Absolutely.
So much, as opposed to, we're at top of the new business league and wait.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for me.
That's
right?
it.
And if you're going to, especially at the age of 50, if you're going to limit yourself to things that you can be world class and or pay your mortgage from, it's going to be it's going to be going back to the corporate world.
Well, that's it. It is, and that's where, like, the becoming a beginner. It's amazing. Like when you get a comment from someone that says, "I listened to that and I've implemented it," like you go, "Oh, someone listened." That is amazing. Like, and it's becoming a beginner. It takes away all the pressure. And the expectations that you actually have to do a great job, and you can stuff up, and you can have your phone tell you that it's double bay markets at 12 o'clock on a Thursday, which is what it is. But it's good. Like, and I love that advice. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about your podcast, Five of My Life. Do you want to do a little plug? No. Who was your last guest? The returning Prime Minister, wasn't it? Yeah. So they're the 5 choices that define your life. And you always ask the 6th question, which was, who do you want to hear on this? But if you had to pick another category, what would you add?
I would add person.
Okay. Yep.
And so I like the format. I'm very passionate about the format, and the idea is I do an episode every 2 weeks until I die, then I hand over to one of my kids, so it becomes a thing.
Oh,
and
okay.
so
it's
just a sideways in. How do people respond to this? It's never going to change.
Yep.
Right. And I pulled the 5 out of my backside. Right.
Yeah.
It could have been 5 other things. I mean, I like the 5. I didn't want it to be like the music ones, like Desert Island Discs or Jan Rose Take 5 or whatever. Nothing wrong with those, but I didn't want it to be just music.
Yes.
So I picked 5 sort of random things in your life. But I could have had person in there. And not place, but I didn't. So fuck it. It was there. But so I know the answer because I was thinking it could be 6 of my life, whatever. I make it 5. So, but because relationships are
they do change you.
That's right, and it would be. But I think I can get to that from the other 5.
Yeah, I think you can too.
But I would make it more overt.
Yeah.
And then they come on and go, so why did and whatever she's called Lydia? Why did you choose Lydia? Oh, she changed my life because she blah blah.
Yes. Yeah. And has anyone's choice changed your perspective on something?
Yeah. It's been just like you doing this to learn. Wow. I mean, we haven't got enough time this week to talk about it. So someone chose a book by Frank Ostiewski called The 5 Invitations about dying.
Yes.
And this is not the cliched, we're all going to die. We only got one life. Drink from the cup of life with both hands. Yeah. All that stuff, which I believe, right? But make the most of life. Well, obviously, and we're going to die. Life is fine now. This is learning lessons from the process of dying.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you asked me about
yeah.
Because I thought about all the cliche things, which I think are true.
Yeah.
But you go, oh, that's interesting, and there are lots of lessons. But one of them is we can practice meeting bad / unpleasant / unwelcome things with grace.
Yes.
Wow, how interesting. This is a book about learning lessons from dying, that rather than wait until you're 88 and strung up to all the machines in the hospital, where you come to enlightenment.
Yeah.
I've got 2 more weeks of this thing dripping into me, then I'm going to cark it, and then you realise what is important and what isn't. Well done. You've learned at 88, you idiot. Job, right? How about you take that, go back to 47? Are you 47?
Yep.
Don't take a day of a 48, right? You
48, did you say? Yeah, thanks.
You go back to 47 and go, I'm going to learn those lessons now, not then. And read the book. Yeah. But one of them, isn't that brilliant? You go, so something bad's happened. Government won't let me out my lease, whatever it is. You go, I'm going to handle it with grace. That doesn't mean be a pushover or lettuce, but I'm going to, not going to lose my rag and be an idiot. I'm going to practice, and maybe I can get better at that. So then the next bad thing that happens, That's just one example. But I mean,
Yeah.
I could give you. It's been 200 episodes.
Yeah,
I've learned. You know,
a lot. I think when we caught up, one of the things that I really liked was how you said that you were quite judgmental at the start.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
My wife said, "Whatever happens, Nigel, I've completely let myself down. Whatever, don't say any of the things that I've actually said." And I said, "Sweetheart, don't worry. I was nice about Lydia, wasn't I?
You were.
Bloody astrologer.
Yeah.
You know that."
But I think you said that you were extremely judgmental when you started, and you have softened.
This is the softening.
That's soft. I hate to see you before. I knew you.
No, I'm terrible because yeah, terrible. So it has part of me. Reason for me doing it is people would put forward. I used to do it with a media company, and they go, "Great news! We've got the lady who reads the news on Nova." I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't Nova, but you know, someone. And I'm thinking, what? You know, I'd rather lick the pavement than interview that stupid person, right? And you go, no, force yourself, you arrogant, censorious, supercilious fucker, to look for the good in everyone.
Yeah.
Right,
also,
look for the good because everyone's got learning. Yeah. Everyone is half an hour interesting.
Yeah. And everyone's got a story.
So I'm trying.
Everyone's got.
So I take it back about all those, all those self-help people.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Is there one common regret or realization
Yes.
you hear from people over and over?
Yeah, there is, and it's ironic actually because the choice that leads to the best stories. Overall, if I'm looking back over 200 episodes ago, which is the one of the five that works best for people to open up and do the spirit of what I'm trying to do?
Yeah,
it's the possession.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But as Bertrand Russell said, it's the preoccupation with possessions above anything else is what stops mankind living freely and nobly. Right? Is everyone, to a man and a woman, says to me either on air or off air, "Oh, I'm not really a
possessions."
Yeah. So in the process, I'm a big bloke on reflection. I think that's the answer to the world is just think about things mindfully and right is when they are forced to sit down, you know, they go, "Oh, my book's this," they go, "Oh, possessions." And then in that process, no one has said, "Oh, well, actually, it's my diamond, you know, necklace or my gold Rolex." They all say it's my granny's scarf or it's
yeah.
And you go, "Isn't that interesting?" That it's universal.
Yeah.
That they all go, "Do you know what? At the end of the day,
it's not the expensive thing. It's something that actually has meaning." That's interesting. So I was in Perth last week and went to the Western Australian Museum. And one of the things or one of the items that touched me the most was a pink embroidered hanky from a lady who looked after a soldier who had been literally left to die by the side of the road. And she looked after him, sent him with this hanky when the Australian troops could actually come and collect him. Yeah. And I literally cried just looking at that. And you go, it's this tiny little hanky, but it's a possession that meant so much and had so much meaning. And it's unbelievable.
There you go.
It's not the expensive stuff. It's the stuff with meaning. Okay, good. You've spoken a lot about how we tie much of our identity to work. And being on that hamster wheel. Why do you think so many of us fall into that trap of tying ourselves to that identity?
I think it's entirely natural and what you'd expect. And again, a bit like the drink thing, is if you have to, which I imagine you did and I did, work very, very hard without any, connections to get you in. Somewhere. You go, if I'm going to look after my wife and family, I'm going to have to succeed at something else. We're going to be living on the streets. Blah, blah. So you spend the vast majority of your waking hours in the thing that you're doing. You spend almost every thought, if there was a pie graph right about it. So it would be a bit weird if you didn't. So I don't think it's surprising.
No.
Right? And I think it's remarkable if people, I think what you're doing is fabulous, if you can actually say, oh, hold on, this was to fit this purpose.
Yeah.
Have you read Bonfire of the Vanities?
No, I will though.
Not Tom Wolfe.
Yeah,
But anyway, it's about a bloke who says, I'm going to be a hedge fund manager, but I'll just do it for 2 years, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And then we'll stop and be rich and we'll live like. But you never do because the
No,
horizon.
never stop. Never stop. Well, because everyone's always, it's like the trophy house. You've got to have a bigger house, bigger house. And it's like, who cares?
So you go, well, I'm a doctor or I'm a advertising person or I'm a whatever. You go, well, it's completely understandable.
Yeah. So for you then,
Hmm.
were you tied in your identity as an ad exec? And then when that was gone, how did that feel?
So for me, it felt great, but it doesn't mean, and we haven't got enough time. I'm overrunning. I do apologize. It is, you've got to be careful with the tribes that you swim in.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or just mindful. Right. So it would be, for me, it was fantastic. I didn't count anymore amongst the people that I didn't mind that I didn't count. Right. So it's a really so I've just been, we're I give an example. We're agency of the year, and I'm at a ball where the agency of the year. Then people would be interested because Leah Burnett's agency, yeah, that's fine. But if I went back the next year and said to I sort of grabbed the mic. So the year before I'm accepting agency of the year, and the next year, bizarrely, I've got a 5-minute spot. Say, just to update you on what I'm doing. I'm learning to bilaterally breathe in my thingy, and I'm doing perspective on drawing. They would rightly think, well, who's this bloke? I wouldn't expect it. I would be the idiot. Yeah. Right? I expect and want you to think I'm yesterday's man, I'm a loser, I don't count. Oh my God, who's going to take over the agency now? And just think I'm as irrelevant as a rock. Right? Yeah. And then when I'm swimming every Friday, Gordon's Bay with the crustaceans, swimming crew, bunch of Irish backpackers, and they go, oh gosh, got stung by a blue bottle, or how'd you do? They'd be interested because we're doing that thing. Yeah. Right. If I say to them, oh, by the way, with Leah Burnett got agency of the year, they go, what's Leah Burnett? And they wouldn't. So just
so true.
Pick your audience.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine how devastating that is if secretly you do mind? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And this is where, so again, brilliant podcast. Can I recommend a camera to look at? Recommend this podcast because you need to do the thinking. Because if really this is all a trick, right? Actually, your looks are going, your health's going, your career's tanking. So what this is a trick. I'm going to try and reinvent it so I can still seem
relevant.
I kid people that I'm successful, beautiful, and aging well. You go, you are in for a really tough road. Because those people will still not care for you, and they'll be able to see that you're making it up and you're pretending. You'll be really miserable. You'll be really, really miserable, right? You should be, without being oppositional. I think people who, in the industry I worked in, I'm thrilled for them. It's not, it's really stupid. No, it's really great. I don't want to do it anymore.
For you.
And for me, it was great. Right? So,
but it's that chapter, as you said. It's your chapter in your life.
Own it.
And it's
own the fact that, you know what, I don't expect headhunters, journalists, whatever in your world, the moment you stop being you, all the people in your ecosystem who were in your ecosystem because of your very successful career will rightly move on.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll go,
that's right. You know what? I want them to move on. I'm so happy for them to move on. Just let me go and be a beginner again.
Interview Nigel.
Yeah, interview Nigel. So if someone is stuck in their job, what's a piece of advice that you would give to them? And I know you don't love giving advice.
Yeah, well,
but, what is something that's helped you get unstuck?
I don't mind if it's one-on-one.
Yeah,
giving
okay.
advice.
Yeah.
What I hate is this generic, do yoga, get up a bullshit. The Huberman stuff. It is... so I shouldn't be negative. He's great. Yeah. It is, if they're stuck in their job, the first advice, and they hate their job, blah, 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 is I'd ask them to do some reflection on, is it your job or is it your life? And this is really important.
I think
right?
Right.
So if you've got a dickwad as a boss and you're not being promoted, you don't think you've been paid enough money, but really you like being a doctor or an architect or an ad person, it's the job. I go, well, this is great. I'm glad we had this chat, Tiffany. You just need to work for a different firm in a different hospital. Yeah. So that's good to clarify that, because what I don't do is say to people, do what I want to do, because they may not want to do what I want to do, right?
No.
If they say, actually, it's the life. If I moved to a different hospital, architecture firm, ad agency, I still wouldn't like it. I go, okay, that's interesting. Why wouldn't you? So to do the thinking first.
Yes.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
job? Then get another one, you idiot. Right?
Yep.
Or is it life? It's life. Okay, well then don't do anything dramatic. Think about the realities of who you've got to provide for. But that's interesting. Watch Dom's podcast and think about what you might change. Because sometimes you go, it's easy to know what you're running away from.
Yes.
It's less easy to know what you're running to.
Yeah.
So keep earning the bucks and not liking your life. But don't worry, you're on the train with Dom. When it comes to 50, you will like it.
Well, something that Todd, I can still remember him saying to me, is double tracking.
Yeah, right.
So, and you know, the double tracking thing, that if someone doesn't like their life, it is continue with the job that you're on, but make sure you're starting to learn the next skill that you actually want.
Pearls of wisdom from Mr. Sexton.
Yes, pearls of wisdom. You've had some major reinventions from advertising CEO, author, podcast host, continuing podcast host, speaker. How do you know when it's time to move on?
Right. So the things that I've done that you mention have all post-dated Fat 40 and Fired.
Yes.
Okay. And since Fat 40 and Fired, which drives Mrs. Marsh, mad, I've had what I call the car headlights strategy. So it's like the Mandela the staircase is if you're driving to Canberra, the car headlight at night haven't got to light up the whole way.
No.
They light up 100 metres, then another 100 metres,
Yeah.
and then you finally get to Canberra. So what I've done is you go, right, now I've been, I'm going to take a year off and give up drink and write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've done that now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, someone's offered me a job, so I'm
going to
do that. And then someone's offered me to do a TED speech. So it's just do what's in front of me as well as I can.
Yes.
Hopefully with love and authenticity and a desire to serve. So it's not like I'm really clever. I'm going to do I know I'm going to do this.
I know
and
it's this.
I'm just going to. I interviewed a bloke called Ashok Ferry, a lovely bloke on the podcast, who said something wonderful. He's a very successful author in Sri Lanka. I'm a sailboat, and I'm currently becalmed. This is him talking, not me. I'm currently becalmed, waiting for the next gust of wind. Very happy.
Yeah.
Where it is, and for me, I'm not becalmed because I know what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But if I stop doing the podcast, in a month's time, which I don't plan to, but if I did, I go, that's completely fine. I'm married to who I want to be married to. I live where I want to. I mean, this is not. I haven't got tickets on myself. I'm just saying that I'm comfortable with all its messiness and imperfection. I'm allowing myself to be happy. Yeah. And I'm allowing myself not to know what I'm doing next. Because I spent 25 years in a very linear way. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. That was that chapter of that life. Yeah. You go, I am Mr. Non-linear. Yeah. Right.
Is that how you identify yourself now?
And it's not the best financial strategy.
Have you ever made a decision you deeply regretted at the time, but now realise it was the best thing that could have happened?
No. I mean, things have happened to me that I deeply regretted that they happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That turned out to be the best thing.
Yes.
Losing my job.
Yes.
That changed my life.
Yeah.
Right. But that wasn't a decision.
No.
And I didn't regret making the decision I made to do. But I regretted it happening to me.
Yes.
I mean, bizarrely, it's not the best thing it ever happened to me, but I really regretted agreeing to do the TED speech.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was, and this was before TED. I mean, now it's been, it's the brand is so diluted. There's
there's TED everything.
Left, right, head people. Yeah. Wollongong. Nothing wrong with Wollongong, but it's
there's everywhere. Yeah.
So back then it was quite a big deal. I'd never heard of it. I got asked to do it, and so I said, "Could you pay me?" Because I thought it was just like another speaking thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And they went, no.
Yep.
And I went, well, why would I do that? Right. And they went, oh, please. And I know the bloke, so I sort of as a favour said, all right.
Yeah.
Right. And
I have to.
And then I looked at Ted, and back then, it was Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. So I called him up. There's a nice bloke called Remo, and said, mate, you've got the wrong man. You know, I mean, I haven't, changed humanity by inventing the iPhone or whatever. You just this is wrong for the brand
Yeah.
that you've got me anywhere near it. So I try to pull out. Just mate. Why would anyone want to listen to me? For Christ's sake, I haven't got any advice, right? And anyway, he's talking to it. So I really, really regretted having initially, because I don't want to break it.
Yeah.
I don't want to let him down. So I really, really regretted having agreed to doing it.
Yeah.
And to this day, every week I'll get at least 2 emails from countries I have never been to saying, it changed my life. We have it, it's being taught in our university, or,
Wow.
and you go, I've been sent around the world doing speeches off the back of it. So it's not the best thing that ever happened to me, but it was,
yeah. That's interesting. Imagine if you didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. And do you know who said I should do it?
Who?
Mrs. Marsh.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
She
But I've written that out of history. I said, I always wanted to do it.
It was me. It was all me. Always me. What's the one thing you worried about in your 40s that you now realise is completely irrelevant?
So I used to, and it served me well to an extent, I used to set entirely arbitrary goals.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So the thing itself wouldn't be a bad thing. It could be health.
Yes.
It could be money.
Yeah.
It could be career progression. It could be running.
Yeah.
Right. God, this is quite a great question. So I would go, right, so I need to be better at. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'd pull out of my arse a arbitrary, absolute thing. Right. So I need to be fitter. So I need to run a 5K in 30 minutes. Or,
Yeah.
Right. And then
you'd write a SMART goal.
Yeah. Right. And then exactly. And then I'd run it in 30 minutes and 1 second and think it's a disaster.
Yeah.
We go, hold on.
You just did it.
You couldn't get off the couch before. Or I go, I need to, I don't know. I need to be chief executive of the ad agency by 1999. And you go, well,
it was 2000.
We'll give it to you in February 2000, right? So just take the stick out your arse. And back to the thing I said about progress over perfection.
Yes.
Consistency over intensity and fundamentals over fads. It's in that area where it's. So think of now with the benefit. I mean, I'm nearly 70. Is think of the area that you rightly are thinking about. You go, I'm a fat porker and I'd like to be less fat. Not right. So I'm going to be a size 3 by June, so I can get into my bikini. You go, well, maybe Tracy, or maybe I want to get healthier.
Yes.
And I want to feel
better,
fitter, and happier in my body. So I'm going to move on the progress train. And so I think it's like a Zen Buddhist thing. It's be open to the outcome, not attached to the outcome.
Yes.
And I go, not outcome, but be open to the idiotic, random, absolute goal, not attached to it. So you go, do you know what? I said I wanted to be 9 stone 3 pounds, and I'm 9 stone 4 pounds. Well, given that I used to be 22 stone, right?
It's in the right direction.
I'm still allowed to celebrate the victories.
Yeah.
Did that answer that question?
Yeah, definitely.
Am I answering any of your questions?
You are.
Okay.
You are answering them. Is there anything you used to care deeply about that you've let go?
Yeah, drink.
Yeah.
So my whole life, my whole life based around drink. Everything, socialising, work, everything, drink.
And do you feel, and I know there are some annoyances when you are still asked for a drink, even though they've known that you do not drink.
Yeah.
But do you feel in yourself better about it not even being there anymore?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's just a thing of utter joy in my life. I'm not voting for anyone else to do it. And Mrs. Marsh drinks like a fish, and that's fantastic. I'll make her a gin and tonic. She'll go, "Can you make me?" Right? And she'll go, "Oh, that hits the spot." I go, "Could you make me another?" I go, "All right."
What's the one thing that only gets better with age?
Oh God! Again, edit this out. Family.
Yeah,
family is just just fantastic. It's just an utter joy. And by family, I love my brother. I love my parents are passed now, but I mean my my crew.
Yeah, your crew, your immediate family.
My immediate family is just a source of constant, ecstatic, orgasmic delight for me that I don't tell anybody. We're on a family messenger, and makes me the happiest man in the world to see the banter going back and forth, and it's just lovely. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. We're all going to go out. The fact they still
want to do it,
and we'll do. I mean, when does this go out? I don't want to spoil the surprise. But we've got a surprise. They've thought of a surprise for Kate. And we're all going to be together. It's just joy. Now there are some people. Right, this is to the heart of your, and this is only for me. Some people who bored senseless. And this is not gendered. I just happen to be a man, so it's a man who would go, my wife bores me, my children bore me. I don't want to go to Les Mis with my 4 children. I'd rather be chucking down the beers with the blokes or whatever. That's fine. Well, then chuck that. But for me, family, it's just a thing of joy.
That's amazing. And you have been married for decades, have raised 4 kids, and managed to juggle it all. What's one piece of relationship advice?
If I were to be asked, and you did, I would prioritise my relationship with Kate above anything else.
Yep.
Above career.
Yes.
Above friends. Yeah. Above location. If she said, "Sweetheart, I'm going to be miserably unhappy if we don't move to the north of Scotland," I mean, I'd have a chat to her about it. I don't want to live. Then I'd move to the north of Scotland.
Yeah.
Right. Because then I'd expect her to do the same. So actually do the work to reflect. Are you bending over backwards to prove to everybody, including yourself, that your relationship isn't important to you? Well, then guess what? Your relationship might stink. Or are you actually prioritising it?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're less of a woman or less of a man if you've chosen to prioritise your life partner.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Right. Anyway, and the third thing is learn to listen. Properly listen. There you go. Lifetime challenge, listen.
Mm-hmm. And listen to listen, not to listen to respond. Best life lessons your kids have taught you?
Oh my God, there's so many. But they're just so gorgeous. The one that's embarrassing doesn't reflect well on me, but I was whining about having to do a God, this is what a arsehole. I was whining. I was stressed about having to go to America to do a speech. And I apparently uttered the words, "Oh, fuck, I've got to go to New York." And Alex said, "Dad, you get to go to New York."
Yeah.
And I sort of thought, God, you go, hold on. I mean, check yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just check it. "Ooh, I'm turning 50. I've got wrinkles. I don't know what to do." You go, come on. You've got your health.
You've survived.
You survived. You're here. You've got a nice family. You're this and that. So you get to address the challenges that you're doing the series for. What a wonderful privilege, honour the opportunity rather than, oh gosh, it's really difficult. The 21-year-old Victoria's Secrets model has got perkier boobs than me, which is the level that some people are on. I mean, you go, you're not going to put this to wear,
no, yeah, 100%. I'm definitely putting that one, particularly your Victoria's Secret perky boobs. You once said, real friendships and even relationships are built on effort, honesty, and shared experiences. How do you make sure you're investing in the right people?
So I think investing might not be the right word. I know what you mean. Yeah. But just because sometimes that sort of suggests maybe you want something back.
Okay.
All right. But
spending time.
No.
With
But
the right
yeah. Which is how I take the 10. So I would say when you get to the age that you're talking about and you're thinking about reflecting and maybe pivoting, it's natural that lots of your friends who are genuinely your friends and are lovely people have become your friends because of what you do. And that's perfectly lovely, right? So you met them at the school gate, you met them at the office kettle, and you met them commuting, whatever. You meet them because the tribes that you're in, right? And that's completely fine. When you get to the age we're talking about, it can be useful to go, do you know what? I'm going to turn the telescope around. I'm going to think about the things that I value
Yes.
and the things that interest me. Without
Yes.
being a narcissist,
Yeah.
you go, do you know what? I like doing park run
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday, right? And that's not going to be interesting to
Yeah.
the ad executive headhunter,
No.
right? But I like doing park run on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do park run on Saturday, and Justin does park run on Saturday. So maybe Justin and I can be pals because we
Okay.
both seem to like meeting and volunteering and running on a Saturday, as opposed to I've retired from the ad industry, so I'm going to be friends with, I mean, people who
All the ad.
genuinely I'm friends with, but they are interested in the gun report or can or whatever, which is great that they are, but follow your interests and your values.
Yeah.
And so just have a think about it that way. Why am I friends with so-and-so? Well, we used to bring up children through the thing.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean that he or she isn't a bad...
It is
Don't
just-
be oppositional.
Yeah.
But don't be oppositional. They're lovely. But actually, she's interested in things that I'm not, or her values
Yeah.
aren't my values.
Well, they've changed. And so
That's right.
You've realigned.
Yeah. And I think just be gracious and nice to everyone. But then maybe to invest in being friends with Justin, because he seems to like the things that you like.
Yeah. Yep. So your laugh has, and Justin and I always talk about your infectious laugh. Has that always been your superpower in a room? Because it always tends to break the ice and get people out of their stiffness.
Oh gosh. I don't. I love that from embarrassed. I don't know. So I've always, I don't know why, but had a sort of a sense that we are ridiculous meat robots, over complex organisms, primarily designed to convert wine into urine. And if you think that, it's hard to take things too seriously. You go, ooh, here comes something, talking about their latest company vision or profits or whatever. You go, I think you sit down to do a dump, just like everyone else. I think actually you're you've got a ridiculous brain in a skull. So I don't know. I've got a friend who listened to my podcast and said you laugh like Basil Brush, which is my son would call it a complisalt.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Is that an insult or is it a compliment? I think it's a complisalt. So I don't know.
If you could put one message
Mm-hmm.
on a billboard
Yep.
for everyone over 40 to see,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be?
It would be the quote that I started my TED speech.
Yes.
Just pause for a moment, you wretched weaklings, and take stock of your miserable existence. I think it's just, and there's a Waterloo station in London. There's a piece of graffiti. It says, "You're all going to die," and like 500,000 people, you see it every morning, right? But it just pretend it said what I've just said.
Yeah.
It's actually quite good advice.
Yeah.
Right, just
Reflect.
pause and have a
Yeah.
think, and you not when you're 27 and you're just scrabbling to meet yourselves.
Yeah.
But when it's what you're doing with this is pause and have a think. You're not going to commit yourself to anything. Just decide, don't slide into your 50s.
Yeah.
Right, your 50s should be, for me, they were the best decade of my life. The best decade without any shadow of doubt. They were head and shoulders above every other decade of it. On the criteria that I've got.
Yes. Yeah.
By far and away the least successful.
Yeah.
On the others, right? But genuinely, they were the most successful decade of my life, and I intend my 60s to be far more successful.
Yeah.
But if I was going because I've won a titanium lion, I forget it. I mean,
it doesn't matter. That doesn't actually matter. And you've lived many versions or different versions of you and your life. When you look back, what's the one thing that stayed constant?
Again, this is going to upset Mrs. Marsh. So the philosophy of enoughness. And wow, I can't recommend it enough. If you are wired like me, and most people aren't, so I'm not on air to give advice.
Yeah.
You asked just for a chat, so I'm having a chat. Leave the advice to Lydia; she sounds much better. It is when I do. This. So I'll give this advice so people can not follow it.
Okay, yeah, good.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what not to do by Nigel Marsh.
Although it's what I do.
Yeah.
So if I write a book,
Yes.
and it's Fat Funny if I was the best-selling locally authored book of 2005 in Australia, right? Everyone around me, understandably, maximise it, leverage it. I run in the opposite direction.
Yep.
If I do a TED speech, it's seen by 6 million people. Everyone around me goes, maximise it.
Yep.
I never talk about work-life balance ever again on TED. I refuse.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
If I do a podcast, I've got the Prime Minister on, we get Podcast of the Year in our first year. Everyone goes, I run in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So with everything, with my house, with my car, with my job, with everything, I just want to lovingly do it to the best of my ability, hopefully contribute a little bit, full stop. And I mean, other people who are far more successful and far richer than I will ever be, who go, yeah, but you're not sweating any of those assets. And I go, no, I'm absolutely not. So if you were to look at my advertising career, you go, what are you thinking? Your agency of the year twice in a row, whatever it was, you've done Earth Hour, won McDonald. This is New York, here we come. And I go, Bronte Beach, here we come. Right. So for me, that's been the constant.
Yeah.
Now, I would describe it as philosophy of enoughness. Kate would describe it as a moronic loser who keeps on running away from success, right? Yeah. But I think that has been the constant. I just don't want to maximise stuff. It doesn't mean I would mind if it naturally happened.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bend
But you're not
myself
gonna
into
do
a prayer.
it. Yeah,
And I'm not going to do things that I think are dishonest, which sometimes maximising it means...
selling your soul.
Yeah.
What's the one book, film or piece of music that sums up this phase of your life?
Now, that's a weird question to ask me.
I know.
Because
and you normally don't answer anything like that.
Well, no, I know, but because for me, it's my life is I've written 3 decade books that sum up my life. So if what summed up this life, it will be Smart, Stupid and 60, because I've written a book summing up my life. And if you go, what summed up your 40s, it would be Fat, 40 and 5. What summed up your 50s, it would be Fit, 50 and Fired Up. So I am that. How vain do you have to be to write 3 autobiographies?
Yes.
How vain.
Seriously. After you say you don't like giving advice, you've written 3 books. Yeah.
Well, do you know, someone said to me, and for me, and it kills me when they're in self-help sections, it is they are me self-indulgently crapping on about me. And if you find something useful, I'm pleased.
Yeah.
But they aren't. What was it? The magic of not giving a fuck. All those books, right? I can't bring myself to do that. But all 3 of those books, I could have changed them slightly.
Yeah.
And said 10 tips to be as clever as me.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. They aren't actually advice. They're just hopefully humorous books.
Yeah. I still can remember Justin just absolutely falling off the chair, fat, fired and 40. It was hilarious. Okay, Nigel. Thank you for sitting in the uncomfortable seat that you didn't want to sit in.
It's been hell.
And thank you for being the first male guest on the podcast. And also the first person that I told about doing the podcast.
How good's my advice?
Which was then shot down. Like, go and have a good hard look at yourself. And today definitely was exactly what I hoped it would be. Deep, funny, honest, and also around what actually does matter in life. And I do think it does come back to reflection, making sure it's right for you, and just doing that thinking. If there's one thing I'm taking away from it, is that reinvention never stops. And you can pivot when you need to.
Yep.
And you should be continually reflecting on that. And there's no final version of ourselves. We just keep evolving, laughing, and trying new things. And that in itself is pretty amazing. So before we wrap up.
You're a very nice meat robot.
Yeah. One final question for you. If I could try one thing before I hit 50 that would push me, take me out of my comfort zone, stretch me, what would it be?
I'm going to give you 2.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay. So the first one, the Sydney Skinny. The second thing, and I mean this seriously,
yes,
is you do something that contributes to society, right? You don't get anything from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you volunteer at Wesley Chapel or whatever. And I don't mean sleep out for CEOs.
Yeah.
Post it on Instagram, right? No, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's being negative. But I'm saying you choose something that you haven't done before that is purely service, right?
Yeah.
And this is the kicker. You do not tell
Anyone. Yeah.
anybody.
I like both of them.
Good.
Great. And I'm very happy not to share it on Insta. Yeah.
No, it's not just Insta.
No. And not tell anyone.
Anyone. You can't tell anyone.
Apart from one person.
Yeah.
Just Justin. Okay. Thank you. Nigel, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your stories, and your legendary laugh with us today, even though I think it's a superpower and you get embarrassed by it. I loved every second. And if you love the conversation, go check out Nigel's best award-winning podcast, 5 of My Life. I'll link everything in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, share it with your friends, and chat with me on socials. But don't tell me what you're doing behind closed doors and volunteering. And before you go, take on Nigel's Try This Before You're 50 challenge.
Hey, yeah.
The Sydney Skinny, I'll make sure that I put that on there. Where is it?
At Cobblers Beach, Midlife.
Okay. Middlehead.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Give it a go, see how it challenges you, and let me know, because fuck, we're nearly 50 and isn't amazing. Oh.